I'm thinking I want to go over a little bit of balancing things. Now, I am not a game designer. I'm not a mathematician or statistician or any of that sort of stuff. But I think when you play enough games regularly enough, you can kind of get a feel for how balanced something is. And you'll get a lot of people that, like, in um, things like World of Warcraft or whatever, those big MOBA things, they yell, oh, nerf that, this sucks, blah, blah, etc., right? And it's usually because they lose to it or they can't figure out a way around it. Sometimes it's actually because they've, got a feel for how it is. And that's just kind of what you have to get used to is getting a feel for how something balances out. Now, an example would be that Battle Master scenario that we played. If you haven't seen that, go back, have a watch. Watch both versions. Uh, Now, I lost both versions of that, like fighting both ends, and I still think that was a well-balanced scenario. I think that was really, really good. Um, the advice I would give for when you're trying to create scenarios with maybe some homebrew rules or changing some things around with the rules or whatever is try to keep things minimal at first, at least. Um, so, like, only modify change dice rolls by a plus or minus, say, one or two at a time. Um, and even when you're really, really into it, I probably wouldn't modify any dice by more than four either way. Right? If you look at the actual game rules, all the tables and things, you won't usually see anything that modifies your gunnery or piloting skills by more than about four, either a plus four or a minus four. The only ones that I can really think of off the top of my head is extreme range, which is really, really cool. It lets you fire out past the long range of the weapon, but that's at a plus six, right? Um, and bearing in mind that you're rolling 2d6, your max is 12, that plus six is pretty huge. Even a plus four is a third of what you can roll, right? So, you know, the only other one I can think of that goes out past a four is if you're in really, really, really extreme depths, and those are both in TAC ops, so they're hugely, hugely optional. But I wouldn't modify anything by more than one or two at the start, and then maybe move up to a four. You can test things out, try things out in different things. If you've got a tweak you want to make, like, I would classify things as a tweak, a bend, or an actual break, like game destroying stuff, right? So a tweak is something simple. You're just changing one or two modifiers by not very much at all, and it's not really having a huge impact on the game, but it makes your specific scenarios better or more interesting or more fun, right? Something like that would be if you want to play a lot of night fighting scenarios, but you don't think that the night fighting modifiers are enough, right? Normally in night fighting, you get a plus one for dusk level lighting, and you get a plus two for full nighttime level fighting, right? So that's modifying your gunnery. Now you could make that a plus two for dusk and a plus four for nighttime. Now it doesn't sound like much, but think about what that means. That means that anyone who is looking for mechs is now looking for something with spotlights or something with an illumination capability. Um, I think tracer rounds give you a bonus. Illuminations, flare rounds, illumination rounds from the Arrow 4. Lighting fires, you could make them give off light. You're also so you're putting a premium on those sort of things if you're playing night games, right? If you're not playing night games, then you haven't really changed anything, have you? But that's something that I would call like a little. It's a tweak. It's just a little change that goes towards making your games more interesting. You're putting a premium on lighting and things that make light make it easier to see, but you're also putting a premium on people saying, I know Baz is going to take a spotlight and I can shoot at someone with a spotlight without getting the modifier as long as their spotlight's on. So, maybe I don't need that. And you're creating those sort of scenarios, you see. When you're bending the rules like full on, you're doing something that could potentially push people towards only taking a specific thing. Like something like that would be maybe, I don't know, saying all direct energy weapons get a +1 to damage. Right? There's some sort of magnetic thing or flare thing going on in the atmosphere. All your laser weapons, direct energy weapons, all get +1 damage. So a medium laser for inner sphere now does 6 points instead of 5. A PPC now does 11 points instead of 10. Right? And it's big, but it's not really like super huge. You're pushing people towards energy weapons. You're definitely giving them the thought that, energy weapons are pretty good. I think maybe I want to like stick with this sort of thing. Let's do energy weapons here. A +1 isn't that big. You can still do well with others. You make it a +2, and you're starting to like really seriously bend the rules of the game and really seriously start to move towards something that's just changing the game badly. You're leaning more towards a break than a bend. I would call a break if you did something like a specific type of, like, direct energy weapons gets a +5 or +10 damage, right? That's ridiculous. There's no point in anyone taking anything except energy weapons. If you're customizing a mech, there's no point in taking anything except energy weapons on that mech. Heat sinks, energy weapons, done, right? Reflective armor if you can get it, right? Another idea, like example of a complete break would be if instead of rolling d6s, you roll d10s. You've just ruined the game, right? You've destroyed it. Now, most gamers will know the difference between a tweak, a break, a bend, and a break, right? You'll be able to kind of gauge that. Some people enjoy breaking games and they'll go, oh, D10s, yeah, let's do that. Everybody will always hit. Everything's awesome. But most people will get it, right? So you just have to try and, like, find a happy medium, I guess. I think I might cut that there and we'll do the next lot in the next thing. But hopefully that's the start of something good. Let's do 2 of these on balance and we'll see how we go. Thanks, guys.